Okay, guys, we got to tackle this femcel bullshit. We all know that femcells are women stealing men's victimhoods. They find a trend, say, oh, I like following trends. Here's one that's gaining some kind of status because people are paying attention to it, incels. We'll just copy it and steal the men's victimhood. Look at this pretty woman. This pretty woman considers herself a femcel. That shows you that they're all just a bunch of larpers, right? Now we'll get into this and we'll start with this horseshit.
Themselves, femcells are posting extreme and sometimes violent content. There's jokes about killing all the men, having a plague, getting rid of them all, disgusting moids.
What's moids?
Like derogatory.
Yeah, it's the women who are violent. They're the ones who wish men harm. The worst thing the incels usually say, for the vast majority of them, is that women are sluts. Or I don't want anything to do with them. It's the women who turn around and say they want to harm men.
Term for men. I know that incel misogyny broke out of the internet forums and into the real world when Elliot Rodger shot and killed 6 people in
Okay, shut up, you liar. Elliot Rodger was not an ideological incel. He might have been an incel, but he wasn't ideological. He was never a part of that group. They always spread this lie. And this is why, guys, I have a playlist called Important Videos. What's the very first one? A feminist who called herself a feminist who went on a shooting spree of little boys. Little boys, not even grown men. See, the feminist who hated boys so much, she wanted to shoot them. And you notice Elliot Rodger was placed everywhere for people to see, to be the representative of all us guys. This, you have to go to my channel to find out what it is. Because the media suppresses female violence, so people don't know it. And she even said it was feminism that got her to do what she did.
2014.
Tomorrow is the day of retribution.
Is there a genuine risk?
And this guy shot more men than he did women. So he's just shooting out of frustration. But he wasn't the misogynist they make him out to be. Misogyny practically doesn't exist. No, it doesn't exist because men worship women. It's these women that hate men.
That femcells might go the same way incels have.
What's the darkest thing you've ever seen in one of those? Oh my God, I can't watch that. I actually can't do this. I want to shoot every one of their off with a BB gun.
I want to go inside the femcel community to find out who these women really are. Are they the female equivalent of incels?
No, not in the least. Not in the least. They can get dates anytime they want. That pretty girl I just showed you, she can get a guy anytime she likes. You are comparing not even apples and oranges because they're all both fruit. You're comparing apples with brick walls.
Just how extreme might they be?
The sad part is I don't think they're very extreme. They're just exactly what women feel men are like anyway. Women don't like men.
If you start researching the word femcel, it pops up all over the internet. There's
Shows you just how many women don't like men. Thanks.
femcel book lists. There are femcel Spotify playlists, which is just loads of Lana Del Rey. The femcel hashtag on TikTok has nearly 1 billion views. It feels like it's a real identity. That's quite...
You can't have both incels and femcels, guys, because incels are the guys that the women don't want, right? So these femcels are obviously ignoring those guys, right?
ironic and self-deprecating, and then you have this other end of the spectrum, which is a quite extreme misandry, and these forums where people are discussing being a femcel and what that means and seeing it as quite an ideological worldview. It feels pretty dark in here. There's like posts here saying, I think all men should start off in jail and prove their way out. It just feels so much broader than I'd first anticipated. The first step is to try and get into some of the femcel forums.
Hey Ellie, I've just got access to a Discord server which has got a few femcells and incels in there.
Okay, so that takes me into a server, and it looks like I'm on the holding page where I've got to answer 7 questions.
Let's see. How old are you? Are you a female or male female? Okay. Are you a femcel, incel, or a femcel? What? If so, how long have you been? Whatever.
Discord's essentially a modern day chat room where people can have real-time conversations with people in private servers, and often...
By the way, men's rights Discords get shut down. But notice this man hate, that's all allowed. And it's not just Discords, it's every platform allows misandry. Every one of them. These platforms need to be sued by true men's rights activists. Too bad there's so few of those actually around.
Then you have to be invited into those servers and accepted in order to have a chat. It says this is a server for femcells and incels. If you're a normie, you'll be banned on site. This is not a place for you. Go back to Reddit. And I'm chatting to a femcel, Al. So she says that she's been part of this community for 3 to 4 years, and she said she finds it very comforting to have the femcel term almost as a security blanket. I'll ask her what she means by that. She said she's had good and bad experiences, most of the bad experiences usually because of incels. She mentioned that she does have some
In other words, guys who don't submit. That's all incel actually really means. Yeah, there's the one where the guys just can't get a date, but when women call men incels, what they're saying is, you don't know your place. I've said some kind of bullshit as a woman. You've called me out. That's what it is.
Taste for men, so I'm curious as to what that is. I'd really love to try and meet Owl in real life. I feel like she's exactly who I need to speak to try and get my head around what it means to be a femcel. I've literally just had a message back from Owl.
You're a woman, you already know.
And she's agreed to meet with me.
I just don't know what to expect. It's really hard to know from a few conversations.
I know exactly what to expect, and it shows exactly what I expected. Right.
Online, how immersed in this world she is and how extreme her views are. I think this is like a real launch pad to like understand where to go next. You describe yourself as a femcel. What does that mean to you?
Okay, look at the body on this young lady. She's not an ugly girl. I suspect she's even showing it off. So she's not an incel. She's not a femcel. She can get a date.
Femcel to me just means someone who has, gone through enough life experiences with men to sort of have this like disdain for them.
Have enough life experiences, men, that they have a disdain for them. Not the men didn't want to deal with her. Right. So there is no femcel, just like we say over and over again. They're Larpers.
It shouldn't be an insult to us. We are involuntary celibate. We do hold these radicalized feminist views. So why?
She's admitting their feminist views. Right. That's where all the hatred comes from. Everybody. That's where all the hatred comes from. When grown women want to shoot little boys to death, that's hatred. That's misandry. Right? So radical, as they call radical feminists, feminist views have always been around. So they're calling themselves femcells now. And these people act like it's something different.
Why not make a community out of it? 3 years ago or so, you would have been able to go onto Reddit and find communities made purely just to post pictures of men or to, dox men or...
She's admitting it. Post pictures of men and dox them. The incel communities, as far as I can ever saw, they never try and dox women, right? Their big evil is complaining about them and talking badly about them. These women actually engage in activism to harm men, right?
or do anything like these to just basically ruin the lives of a man.
What are your views on men as a whole then?
To ruin the lives of a man. Exactly. Something that the incels don't do to women. Thank you.
I don't hate them particularly. I constantly feel
Shut up. You're going to go on to this man-hating page and dox men, but you don't hate them? Please, make me puke.
threatened, especially in relationships. I don't really show emotions to them. I don't, give them the time of day.
So would you describe yourself as
So how can you be involuntary celibate when you're the one who doesn't give men the time of day?
involuntary celibate?
I'm not celibate, nor involuntarily. And I suppose a lot of people in the femcells community who are involuntary celibate would consider me a fake cell, which is someone.
Yeah, you are a fake. You're a Larper. I can tell even with the hiding, your face isn't that ugly. She's got a nice shaped head. This is a decent looking woman, and she can get a guy anytime. She just hates guys.
It's just basically lying about being a part of the community. I just hold a lot of their views.
For incels, it's the lack.
There you go. She's not a part of their community because men will date her. She's not involuntary celibate, but she holds their hatred for us for no other reason that men are born male. That's it. That's what femcells are. They're not involuntary celibate. They're just man haters.
Lack of sexual and relationship experience that makes them an incel, whereas for femcells like Owl, it is the past experiences that make them consider themselves femcells.
Yeah, they've had experience with men. In other words, they've had their sex. They could get some tomorrow. They can have male company. So femcells are not femcells.
It feels like Owls found this online community of like-minded people who may have had similar experiences. And
no, like-minded people all hate men. And they have their rants and hate fest, and they dox men and try and hurt them. That's what it is, right? These people are evil. That's how you describe it, whatever your name is. Documentary.
that is her definition of a femcell. And I'm really interested in trying to find out whether that's the case across the board, because it feels like it's a lot more complex than just being about sex.
No. It's not complex at all. It's simply about hatred. Hatred is very simple. Hatred is very simple. This is a very simple concept.
This time I'm looking in the most public online spaces.
So I set up a new TikTok account a few days ago, and I've just been engaging with content that I think is kind of linked to the femcell aesthetic.
Man, talk about life on easy mode. Look at how this woman's living. What a beautiful apartment. Oh my God.
Or the femcell community.
So it's a lot of stuff about eating disorders, a lot of like nihilistic mental health content that talks about not wanting to get better, not being able to get better, feeling very helpless. It feels like it's way more about finding a space online to share feelings of loneliness and frustration than it is any kind of movement. But
bullshit. So the incels, they're not getting along. Their spaces aren't for finding one another and having conversations. They're evil. But these women who try to dox men, they're the good guys. They're just harmless, right?
I have seen a lot of evidence of femcells directing their anger and that sadness inwards, and I want to understand where that's coming from.
Well, from what you showed of that young lady earlier, all hers is outwards, right? So I'm not feeling any sorrow for these I want to say lobsters, Larpers.
Hey Ellie, I'm setting up a call with a woman I've been speaking to in one of the femcell subreddits. She doesn't actually identify as a femcell, but you need to hear what she's got to say.
She doesn't identify as a femcell, but she's in there, right? Because the femcells is about man hatred. They're lying about the idea that they can't get a guy.
If I was to use the word femcell, what would that mean to you?
There are negative connotations.
Now, there you go. Look at this pretty girl. She could get a guy in a heartbeat. She could get one today. So we know they're lying.
With that word, because it's so incel adjacent. And obviously incels are associated with extremism, violence, misogyny, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, those associations are lies, aren't they? Because these incels worship women and they don't commit violence. But those associations are true of you femcells. See that? You boy haters, you boy murderers.
So for me, it's hard to escape from that negative meaning of the word.
Have you had any relationship?
Well, duh. You adopt the title that gets demonized so you can live off its victimhood, but then you also want to distance yourself from the demonization? Like, make me puke.
Experience?
I've never had a relationship, unfortunately. I've never had any sort of experience past a kiss. But I do.
Okay, so you're not interested in sex then, right? This is your issue. What would you say to a guy who talked about this? You'd say, go seek therapy. That's what I'm saying to you. Go seek therapy. This is entirely within you. If this pretty girl, and she is a pretty girl, can't get a guy, it's her issues. The fact is, she doesn't want one.
I do feel shame about it because I'm 28. I feel like I'm going to be 60 odd, 70, and I'm just going to have lived my life alone. And it's scary and it's depressing and isolating. The thing that is wrong with me is...
Don't be an asshole then. Stop hating men. Look at us like human beings. Go find one. You can throw a stone out there and hit one in the head, and he'll look around and say, "Oh, you're beautiful." Right? This woman here should be embarrassed to even talk to this woman in this documentary, because it's making her documentary look what it actually is, a farce.
Is my facial appearance.
It's tricky for me because I don't want to be another person who you feel is dismissing your feelings, but it's hard for me to look at you because I just don't see you as unattractive at all.
I'm dismissing her bullshit. You're not dismissing her feelings, lady. You're dismissing her bullshit. This woman's a liar.
Why do you think it's that?
I suppose my body dysmorphic disorder, but also because of the fact that I've never seen anyone be attracted to me. I personally find myself very unattractive, and I think that I just apply that to everyone else. I get a lot.
You don't like men, and your vibe gives it off, so they don't come near you. Or they have hit on you, or not or, and some have hit on you anyway, and you've rejected them.
Stares, get a lot of people might smirk, things like that. And I just think, yeah, it's because of what my face looks like. And when I go to these communities, you see lots of women who have experienced the same thing. It's nice in a...
This woman has to be a complete sociopath in order to chase away a guy. She has to chase them away.
way to have that validation that you're not crazy, that you're not wrong, and that it actually does happen. It's a place where I pretty much go every day just to read experiences, and it makes me feel a little bit better because I feel less alone.
The more women that I speak to in these spaces, the less worried I am about any kind of violence, and the more...
Well, you're full of shit, lady. You're full of shit. You see, because you women are violence. This is a woman who said she was a feminist. She got into feminist indoctrination and she went wild, right? So this is what doing. These women, it's the male incels that won't be violent. These women are violent. Matter of fact, she just talked to someone who said they practice doxing. So this woman's full of shit too.
Worried I am about the women themselves and their mental health. It feels like there's a real difference between the way femcel communities are dealing with feelings of isolation and loneliness and the way the incel communities are dealing with the same feelings.
Yeah, the femcells are the violent ones, and they're the ones who are full of hate. That's the difference.
I think I need to try and speak to someone with an insight into both these worlds to understand it better.
I mean, this is really enraging, guys. Sorry. I want to slap this woman in the face. How dare she say something like that? On national television. On a documentary. She's flipping the two groups and their motivations.
So I found a pretty big femcel influencer, content creator who posts a
Yeah, I actually think I've seen that. Kidology, right. Pretty girl. So she's not a femcel either, is she?
lot on YouTube about her experience as a femcel. Her name is Kidology.
Oh, yeah. I've actually did a response to this scumbag. She's a real lowlife.
I reflect on why I haven't been in an intimate relationship. It isn't because
you're not interested and you don't like men. That's why. Asshole.
I am picky. Every man that I have shown interest in has not reciprocated my feelings.
The videos.
Okay, then you're aiming too high then. That's why. You want a high status man. They have the pick of the litter, or at least they have options, right? And they can do better than you. Aim for your level.
Where you speak about the femcel community, who tends to engage with that the most?
Also, she might be lying. She may just not be interested in men.
That's definitely a majority male audience. When I talk about sort of, especially inceldom, when I talk about things about physical attractiveness, about looks, that definitely does attract men. I think the algorithm has sort of associated me with those sort of topics.
Yeah, it attracts men. You know why? Because women aren't femcells. They're LARPing. That's why they aren't attracted to this talk. The only thing that attracts them is these spaces on Discord that are in, Reddit, where they get to hate on men, but they're not femcells.
How do femcels and incels differ, either in
Femcells hate men and incels worship women. That's a difference. The femcells are violent and the incels aren't.
their experiences or in their online identities?
I would say that incels very much see the world as the problems, particularly modern society and feminism and the ability for women to be far more picky about their partners, about who they have sex with.
Yeah, feminism is a hate movement, so it's good that they're against that.
About who they form relationships with. Whereas most femcells that I've sort of seen online especially tend to see it as something that's wrong with them or something.
That's a bold-faced lie, asshole. Did you not just watch the first part of this documentary where the woman, where the femcel actually admitted what they do online? And it's a hate space where they hate on men. So you're just lying.
Internal, especially their looks and having low self-esteem, low confidence, and that it's sort of something that they have to work on in order to eventually find those relationships.
Again, men throw themselves at women. So if they have low self-esteem, get therapy. But it still doesn't explain all the man hatred, does it?
So femcel spaces might not be particularly violent, but I know that
yes, they are, asshole.
Some femcels are spending time in online spaces with incels, and I wonder what impact that might have. Al has some access to secret incel and femcel.
Okay, they're LARPing, right? That's what they're doing. They're spending, they can't get laid. These femcels can't get laid, but they're talking to male incels, right?
Group, so I'm going to see if she can get me into them. I'm on my way to meet Al again and another girl that she lives with who also identifies as a fem.
I can't, I just can't be lighthearted about this. This documentary, I say loosely, is really rage-inducing. Now, did she just call this person a feminist again?
On my way to meet Owl again and another girl that she lives with who also identifies as a femcel. I'm feeling quite nervous actually. I've got no idea what they're going to tell me or what they're going to show me.
Well, then you're an idiot. Because I can see this coming from a mile away.
So what's the main things that you've found about the femcel community?
Junji Ito, that's what they got on the wall here. So this person's very much into the horror genre. Very typical of girls.
To me, it seems like more of a kind of like space for women online.
It's deeply hidden in the way that you have to know someone in a server or somewhere on the internet to do it. They even think.
Sorry, again, guys, I can tell this is a decent looking girl. She may not be a knockout, but she can get a guy anytime.
That you might be a police officer or anything like that, they'll immediately just kick you. So you kind of have to almost blend in, and to blend in you have to be a part of these communities for at least a year.
I'd love to see some of the servers if you could show me the ones that you're in.
Yeah, because these hate movements make sure that you're on their side. They don't want to be infiltrated, right?
Servers like this, they'll have a channel, and it will last 24 hours. Everything will be deleted. It'll be started again tomorrow morning. And so it's hard to navigate, which is why it's really difficult.
Everything will be deleted. Why? They must be showing some real serious shit if they don't trust it to be up there. Women do the hashtag kill all men and leave it up forever. So they must be doing some real sick shit here.
To track, there is like a lot of crude things like this, obviously, and incel like sexualizing women, and these characters are supposed to be young girls.
No. The incels, this is incels and not femcells. So if they're looking at incels, they're just guys looking at pretty women. That's it.
This sort of humor spread around. It's a kids' TV show, and it's just the caption of, rape, 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 and that's supposed to be absolutely hilarious.
What's the darkest thing you've ever seen in one of those?
I've been sent videos of women being raped.
I mean,
okay, they're demonizing the incels. Okay, these guys are real fuckwads.
How old were you the first time you saw something like that?
I would have been around 14. Youngest I'd seen gore was probably 11. There was a server that my housemate was in, and the server was a very harsh and psychotic server.
Do you think?
Just a minute, I gotta go back because I'm screwing up here. I don't know if this is a femcel server or an incel server. Okay, it's a femcel server, but they might be showing incel stuff to try and demonize them. That's what I'm guessing.
I've been sent videos of women being raped.
I mean, how old were you the first time you saw something like that?
I would have been around 14.
So she was 14 and she was already into man-hating, right?
Youngest I'd seen gore was probably 11. There was a server that my housemate was in, and the server was a very harsh and psychotic server.
Do you think she could maybe show us?
I think she could. Yeah, I think she'd be willing.
Okay, she isn't ugly either. So, okay. These women just aren't interested in men, right?
It was this server that was advertised as like femcells and incels only, extreme gore, extreme views. Do not enter if you're normal.
Oh, by the way, we all know women have the rape fantasies. That's standard practice. 50 Shades of Grey was a giant success with women. So they're showing young girls getting raped. That's because these women want to see that. They're turned on by it.
Have you had any experiences in real life that you think have informed either, your opinion on men now or why you're in these spaces online?
Yeah, I met a guy online when I was pretty young. He actually, sexually assaulted me, basically. It's happened 3 times.
You met him online and he sexually assaulted? You didn't say you met, right? Why didn't you just pick up a guy on the street? See, this is all full of shit, guys, every bit of it.
To me.
I had a similar relationship when I was 14. I didn't know that me saying no and him continuing to do it was wrong at all. It's happened
this is all a bunch of lies. Bunch of freaking lies.
multiple times in relationships. Multiple.
What's your experience largely been like as part of this femcel world?
seeing like bad stuff, like people killing themselves, seeing people getting bullied, getting doxxed. I don't enjoy it, but at that time I was so bored. I was like, well, this is entertaining to
Yeah, you enjoy it. That's why you're there. If you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't be there.
me. I obviously know now that was like fucked up and wrong, but at the time I was depressed enough to be like, well, I'm killing myself anyway, so why not?
You're going to kill yourself, but you're still alive. But I still alive. Right.
What do you think the draw is for people to come back to that content over and over again?
It's like a sickening addiction, I think, that a lot of people really are struggling to get over with. It gives you like this sense of just being trapped. And you can't go to your parents to talk about it because you've seen awful things. You're going to be judged. You said awful things.
Fundamentally, you're lonely, you feel isolated. You can't talk to your family, you can't talk to your teacher.
How much of a contributing factor is some of the violence that we've seen in the incel community? That
Okay, why is she bringing up the incel? This is full of shit, right? This is about femcells, asshole. Stick to your lane.
Desensitization to violence.
Desensitization is like a huge thing. But you do see it and you're like, interesting. You move on. You see another thing. You move on. After years and years on the internet, you cope, almost. It is desensitization.
It feels
How could you get desensitized? If these incels are so terrible, why are you going to their spaces? Right?
to me like what I've seen so far, incels has the danger of spilling out into violent acts against other people. And it feels like the most violent things we're seeing in the femcel community are affecting femcells.
Men are taught it's kind of fine for you to lash out on other people.
No, bullshit. Bull fucking shit. It's the very opposite. Men aren't allowed to lash out. You women are. That's why you can find all kinds of Karen videos of women lashing out. Man, this isn't a documentary. This is a propagandize. I don't know the proper word for it. A propaganda piece. That's what it is.
Whereas women, well, constantly, well, it's your fault. I'm blaming you for it. Women will blame themselves for it.
No, you don't. No, you don't, you lying pack of crap. This is what happens right here. Every guy, anytime someone speaks up, find this video of mine. It's right in it's the very first one in the important videos. Don't ever let them gaslight you like this. Man, oh my God, this is getting me enraged.
I said, these people ripped, molested, bullied, disowned by their own families, and society does teach these women, it's your fault, these things happen to you, and that makes them...
This is bullshit. Again, they're flipping the script. You know, if a man gets tossed by his woman, they say, oh, must have been something you did. Or you keep picking the wrong girls, right? It's always the same thing with these man haters. They can't admit that they just hate men. And what they do is so severe. Their enjoyment is so severe that they would get shamed. So they're hiding themselves. This woman isn't even doing a good job at hiding themselves. You think someone who doesn't recognize her, like someone who knows her, wouldn't recognize her with their open hair and the glasses? Right.
Most radical femcells to me. Although femcells, incels have the similarity of anxiety, depression, bad lives, how it's self-internalized from like what we teach is like a huge difference.
How much danger do you think there is?
Yeah, but the difference is an incel gets out of his bad family, talks to a woman on the street. He gets abused. These girls don't. These girls get positive reaction from men. And so these two are lying when they say, you know, when they were young, some guy was forcing them on them.
Is that we could see a woman end up as violent as someone like Elliot Rodgers from this community?
I do think there is potential for like a real violent act.
No.
I think we will get
potential. They are. They are. Elliot Rodgers just shot at men and women. That feminist, she directly targeted little boys. There's no comparison. None.
Get there. And the world will go, oh my God, how did she do that? And I actually don't think it proves anything. like specifically like, oh my god, women can do this too. I wouldn't say it like that. I'd say like, well, you let incels do it.
No,
You know,
no one lets incels do anything. Guy gets out of line, he gets thrown in jail. He's not like you girls who get a slap on the wrist. Here, let me show you another thing here. Isabella Guzman, who stabbed her mother 79 times, will be allowed to partially leave state hospital. These female violence, women committing violence is a common occurrence. And the legal system lets them off the hook. So everyone knows that these women are full of shit. They're propagandists.
you let this happen. You let men get mentally ill. You know, you didn't let men express their emotions. You didn't get them the mental help that they needed, and then they shot a place up. And now, you know, women are getting more mentally ill. I think something like that will happen in a couple of years, and the world will be shocked and will go, oh my god, like, how could this happen?
No, women aren't becoming mentally ill. They've been freed of all their consequences. And so all their criminal activity is coming to the fore. I'm not listening to the rest of this. I'm not listening anymore to this hateful propaganda. Whoever you are, lady, you sicken me. Goodbye.